Alright, I kind of want to go over the basics of the Twisting Blades rogue that I've built here. Since this will be mainly for Project Diablo 2 players who are playing D4, because that's the only people who watch this channel, we'll do this sort of quick and dirty. Not going over every skill and why we taken it and stuff, but Puncture is going to be your main, basic skill here. The only thing you need Puncture for is the fact that it will put vulnerable on things and it will generate energy for you. It's the fastest attacking basic skill. I wish the other ones just were any good, but the fact also it's a marksman skill and it attacks so fast, that's why you're going to use it. The build is built around Twisting Blades, and you're going to take Advanced Twisting Blades and Enhanced. But the way it works is, well, the blades go into a enemy, they do pretty good damage on their own. When you zoom away somewhere, the blades follow you. When you also have this aspect here, the blade dancers, the blades also spin around you. So you constantly have these blades just going all over the map, and if you're quick enough and you have enough movement skills, you can even sort of use those spinning blades to hit things twice in a way. I'll try to show how the jumps work with that. Other abilities, though, after that, it is really subjective. There are 100 different ways to do this. I'm using Poison Trap and Poison Imbuement. I've seen plenty of people using Dark Shroud, especially on leveling builds. Shadow Imbuement does work, especially with leveling builds too. The AoE pop on it, it imbues your weapons with shadow damage, and they do create a nice AoE explosion, but it does drop off when you get into the higher tier dungeons. Cold, I've seen builds with Cold that use the, there's boots that lay a frigid little pool on the ground and works with that as well. Poison to me is just more consistent. I wish it wasn't. I don't like poison damage builds, but it is just the best one so far from me. Concealment, Smoke Grenade, I mean, I haven't really seen builds with it. I haven't looked at a whole lot of builds, so I don't know if that's like the meta or anything, but that's your main ones. Beyond that, though, there are builds that use Death Trap. There's a unique that lets Death Trap, sort of spam over and over and over again. I was testing out Shadow Clone and Rain of Arrows because I got the necklace that puts all the imbuements on Rain of Arrows, and they're fine. It all works, it's just not as consistent as I'd like it to be, and running a really basic setup like this just seems to be better for farming all kinds of content. I am going with 2 agility skills, and this is where I'm really differing from what I do know of the meta, because most people are going with 1. I just like being able to move around, and when I have boots that give me +4 to each of those, yeah, it's very good. So, that is essentially it. Twisting Blades, Puncture, those are your damagers. You're going to be buffing yourself with Poison Imbuement. You'll be just controlling things and reset. I'll show the aspects in a moment, using Poison Trap just as a filler skill, kind of. And then 2 movement skills to break some CCs, get yourself in position, and then if you find good enough boots that have +3 evade on them, now you also have 4 evade. So essentially you've got, what, 4 hard CC breaks, 8 total. And if you get this Shadow Step aspect, it really recharges up the Shadow Step. If you kill something, it's gonna reduce the cooldown, or refunds the charge, and when you actually have Advanced Shadow Step, or Discipline, there you go, reduced by 3 seconds when it damages an enemy you haven't hit in the last 4 seconds. So I'm constantly moving. I really don't have problems getting crowd controlled at all. The rest of the build, I mean, you kind of have to read. Again, this is not like a breakdown here. PD2 players, you know what you're doing. Just read the things. Yeah, damage reduction, close, healing you, things like that. Some things to avoid. People like this line here, because it does damage to vulnerable. Eventually, you have so much vulnerable damage, it's not worth it. So, the really specific thing, the only real aspects you absolutely, I think, have to have for this, obviously the Twisting Blades, yes. Where is it? This one here. This is one of the basic ones you can get. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction. Well, you're attacking so fast with Puncture, it's just a necessity. Also, this one here, every time you damage someone, your armor increases. Put that on an amulet, absolutely. It's just, it doubles the, number on the amulet or whatnot. So it's just the best slot to have it. I think those 2 are absolute necessities, and beyond that, it is really subjective. So I've got like basic skills and Puncture, attack speed on Puncture, less damage on crowd-controlled enemies. Crowd control is, Puncture also slows things, and so does Poison Trap, and it knocks them down. So those are crowd-controlled. extra crit chance, or actually that's a free Dark Shroud. That's actually a very good one too. So the defensive abilities on this, I mean, it's insane. And I got 64% damage reduction right now, 20 from that, 67% up from that, and then I have also free Dark Shrouds that are popping whenever I use, or get a lucky hit chance, which is what we have to go over next. Why, if you want to run the poison build, you do need this aspect here. What is that? Yeah, the bursting venoms, criticals. You have to do the lucky hit chance, but critical strikes will create a little pool on the ground, where you can stand in it, and your poison imbuement is just free at that point. So, what do we mean by lucky hit chance? Well, scroll down. You will have a base lucky hit chance, and you'll have some from gear. I've got some on my rings. Yeah, cool. But here's what you do have to take, and this is why I don't have something like Malice, is these passives right down here. That one's obviously a good one. You should always take Innervation, but non-physical damage, extra lucky hit chance. Every 100 enemy I spend, extra lucky hit chance. So when my lucky hit chance is already 43%, and I can get another 15 on top of it, and my crit chance is already up to, what, 33 something percent? Yeah. So critical strike damage, not as important on this build. Vulnerable damage is still fairly important. This is sort of like a well-rounded build. If you guys are, again, watch my PD2 stuff, you know I want a class that can kind of do everything. So the rest of it, yeah. Also, gems. Everyone is using topazes. That was like the meta thing. I don't get crowd controlled, so I just have 7k life. But in terms of what you're looking for in terms of stats, I guess, attack speed with this build, cooldown reduction, and life. And you'll see I just have that kind of everywhere. Gloves, you do want to find twisting blades on the gloves. There's specific things on the gloves that's almost like the most important part of the build is twisting blades, crit chance, attack speed, lucky hit chance, things like that. But everywhere else, just life down the board. Oh, crossbows. Vulnerable damage. Again, why I don't need Malice and things like that? Well, because my crossbow already adds 130% vulnerable damage. So just find a good crossbow. This is a good one, but I had a 600 item power crossbow because it had 100-something vulnerable damage on it with the 2 rolls on it. So I didn't replace that until very, very recently. Imbuement. Damage for standing still. So this is for when you drop the pools on the ground. If you have a very high tier dungeon and you're just sort of sitting there spamming, you are moving around a lot, but on bosses and heavy packs, that is a decent one to have. Are there any other aspects I kind of need to go over? That's all of them. The Shadow Step recharge. Yep, the free damage. Vulnerable enemies. Most everything is vulnerable around you because you're either hitting it with Puncture or Poison Trap, so more crit chance there to proc more of the toxic pools, and so on from there. And you actually see, yeah, attack power 10,000, but that's not right when you actually move. So very well rounded in terms of specializations. Preparation, when I was using the Rain of Arrows build, or if you're using, you know, obviously the Death Trap build, sure, that's great. Inner Sight, I don't have energy problems with this because I'm just attacking so fast. So I'm just using combo points kind of as a filler. Passive, okay. People are also kind of split on this. There's, yeah, these 3 here, no one's really using it. Trap builders are using that one. It's either momentum or close quarters. Again, attack speed is so important, and 20% damage. I mean, I'm using the close quarters combat. Momentum is fine if you need the damage reduction, but I have just so much damage reduction and so much energy regen, I do not need it. Paragon board, we won't go too deep into this because this is, again, kind of subjective to everyone, but I am using just closer like everybody else is. Did get Tricks of the Trade. That was a decent second one because that's just free 25% damage. What is my other one? Yep, damage, physical damage increase because I wanted, again, I'm using poison, so I want my physical damage bumped up a little bit, and then the last one is damage to vulnerable enemies. Beyond that, yeah, increased damage there. But I'm not really building out the board. I mean, when a rare node gives you 15%, you know, damage to crowd controlled enemies and everything is crowd controlled, it's like there's no reason for me to really go after these other legendary boards that don't really help too much. So that's just fine. Like I said, this is sort of a well-rounded, easy build. Doesn't require a whole lot of thinking to use. It's just positioning and speed. Beyond that, I think I have the coolest looking character in the game. Fight me. Look at that. And I think that's it. Beyond that, gems, I mean, I already went over, yeah, life. Armor is sort of broken in the game, the resistance thing. You can put resistances in these, but honestly, the flat armor is just better, and I don't really have a problem. My resistances are, 40% reduction at, whatchamacallit, level 4, World Tier 4. But cold and lightning aren't there, fire's not there, but I don't really have a problem. I'm running 40s and 50s and having a breeze. I'm about to start pumping them up and seeing how far I can really push this. But yeah, look at the defensive stats on this. It's a little bit broken, honestly. I think Rogue does need a massive nerf, because at these higher end levels, it's really hard to kill me. It does have the problem of D3, where it's like if you stop attacking for a little bit, you can be pretty vulnerable at the start of things, but as long as you have that on and you're still hitting things with Puncture, you will tear through just about everything in the game here. Other build types, since we're here, it's a very professional video, I'm very good at YouTube here. Legendary items, uniques that are pretty good with this. I'm about to flip this off. This is such a good helmet, it has 1,000 life on it, but where's my sightless helm, dude? There we go. Or Cowl the Nameless. Extra lucky hit chance against crowd control enemies. Again, this is sort of built on lucky hit chance, and if it's crowd controlled, another 17% on top of it. Yeah, it's pretty dope. I could probably switch around some passives and take some lucky hit chance off if I was still using that, but when I have a helm with 1,000 life, I just have to go with it. The Word of Hakan, like I said, the Rain of Arrows, you can flip out Poison Trap for that. It's cool, it works. My problem is, it's not even the cooldown on Rain of Arrows, because you can switch your specialization to cool it down a little quicker. It's that Rain of Arrows spreads out in front of you. It doesn't just hit all around you like you had that option in Diablo 3. Temerity, again, decent option. I just like having the Dark Shrouds, but the barrier from Temerity, and it's a potion spammy unique there, but it is really cool, and you can actually switch out something like the crowd control damage on enemies for something that gives you extra damage or protection when you have a barrier up, because you have barriers up all the time, because all that healing is happening to you. And again, since we have a lucky hit chance build here, well, that lucky hit is going to go off an awful lot. If I did find I have really good weapons, but if I found a Condemnation to bump up the combo points build, I would use that, but it's just, obviously, I have to take the damage when I got 817 and 811. What have I not really gone over? Stats, I mean, yeah, vulnerable damage, but, you guys are PD2 players. Critical strike damage, you know how that works. Damage to things that are close to you, core skill damage, all of it's good. I'm sure there's some meta number cruncher out there who is figuring out exactly what works the best, but as long as you have damage to close enemies and damage to vulnerable, it's gonna be well worth your time. That was the ring I was gonna try to switch in. Vulnerable, lucky hit. I think that's everything, guys. So I'll play the level 40 dungeon I did, and you can see it in action there. Just making sure, there's so much in this game. I'm trying to check all the extra gear I was using. Oh, there's the chilling boots, if you want to use the cold build. What you would do with that, it is nice because it gives crowd control, but honestly, you can run this exact same thing and just put 2 points into extra damage to enemies that are chilled. It's free 15% damage, right? Pull passives out of somewhere else, maybe out of haste. That would, that's very good for me because, like I said, I like the attack speed. But you could bump them right there, use those boots. You would lose the shadow step, but everything around you is chilled, and you're doing extra damage to chilled things. The Grasp of Shadow, I was really disappointed in those. Those did not. It's a good thing to have, but the clone just doesn't really add too much. And beyond that, the other uniques, I am looking for a Doombringer. If you've seen the extra damage on that, that'll probably be the end game thing I'm looking for. But that is just about everything. I've said that 3 times now. All right, see you later.
About 2.